Okay, so today, and I want to make sure I say your name right. Is it Kia or
It's Kia, just
okay,
like the
Kia?
car.
Okay, all right. So, okay, just like the car. Okay, so we are talking to Kia today, and she is not only a cigar smoker, she is a poet, a poetic communication specialist, a speaker, and a coach. Now, I want to know, what is a poetic communication specialist?
It's just a fancy way to say that I'm just gonna keep it real. It's just a fancy way to say that um, I've been writing poetry for a long time. So not only do I write, I teach others. I'm the type of a writer that can just write off of the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, I'm the writer that people will hire to write for them for
Okay.
special occasions or events. So I just put that little fancy name on it.
Okay, well, you know what? Because I was like, I need to look this up. I was like, look this up for me. Well, so you are in author world because I'm an author first too. Well, we
Mhm.
pantsers. So I'm a pantser too. I just write as it comes to me, and I don't do an outline. So what part of cigar smoking inspired you to do poetry, or did poetry come first and then cigar smoking?
Poetry's always been first. So I've been writing since I was a little girl. It was really kind of my outlet, my way to kind of just escape some things.
Mm-hmm.
And so poetry's always been a part of my life. Cigars became a part of my life in my early 20s. So I've been smoking about 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I started smoking by accident. It was really an invite from a girlfriend to come hang out. And she had met this older gentleman, and that's where they were going, to a cigar
Mm-hmm.
lounge. I
Okay.
knew nothing about cigars, really had no interest in it whatsoever, didn't know what I was doing. And I walked into the humidor, and I just happened to pick up the strongest, most robust stick in there and found myself choking. But one of the gentlemen saw me, and he said, "Let me take you in and pick out a different stick for you. I can tell you've never done this before."
Mm-hmm.
And I can't recall what that stick was. I've had so many people ask me what it was. All I know is um, it was some type of Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I enjoyed the feeling of just that was what it gave me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, because I was like, "Oh, I want to do this again," but there's all these men in here,
Right.
and so what I would do is I would go and I would purchase cigars, and I would just try them, and I would take them home and I would smoke them by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that for many, many years. The how Cigar Chronicles came about was the pandemic, actually.
Okay.
Um, I was involved in a cigar group, Facebook group, and I would go live in this group every Wednesday. And at first, the admin of the group, she said, how about you just go live and share your poetry?" And I'm known for writing healing poetry. That's what
Mm-hmm.
people know me as writing. And so I was sharing that. And the feedback was really positive, and people were like, "Oh, I want more." And one day I said, "I'm going to just see if I can write about a cigar. I'm just going
Mm-hmm.
to see." And I did. And I just kept going, and I kept going. And then I started sharing, and people were like, "Oh, I love it. I love it." And so during the pandemic, I would sleep one night, and literally it was just as clear as you and I talking. It's like God was like, "Just keep writing, publish
Mm-hmm.
it." And that's what I did. And so initially, what was funny is I never thought I would publish it, actually,
Mm-hmm.
even though I got that download.
Okay.
I thought that I would just kind of do like almost a pamphlet,
Okay.
because I was afraid to publish it because people kept saying, "Oh, Kia, this is erotic. This is so erotic." And I've never wrote erotic poetry, and I didn't want to be
Mm-hmm.
known as an erotic poet. So I was
Okay.
like, "Well, this doesn't come across as Like, this doesn't connect with your other work. But then I said, you know what? That's okay. I'm going to step outside my comfort zone. And that
Mm-hmm.
was definitely outside of my comfort zone. Um, because I knew that it came across as erotic. Even when I
Mm-hmm.
was writing it, that wasn't the intent.
Okay.
I was just telling a story and putting it in poetic words, and then it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of came out like that. But then I saw people enjoyed it, so I said, okay, I'll keep writing. And then I decided to do Cigar Chronicles 2 very differently. I wanted to basically pay homage to those that I've met in the cigar culture, in the
Okay.
community, and the impact that they've had in the community. Cigar lounges that I frequented and the people that I've met. And I wanted to kind of highlight their businesses, whether it be accessories or their own cigar line or, t-shirts, whatever that may be. I wanted to just
Mm-hmm.
highlight and celebrate them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how Cigar Chronicles 2 came.
So when you're writing your poetries, these chronicles, are you smoking a cigar while you're doing it, or have you smoked a cigar and then it just comes to you, or it just comes to you straight out the blue?
I rarely am smoking when I write. Um, I can probably tell you on one hand how many times I've smoked and written at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
because writing for me, sometimes it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people this funny story. There's always a notebook and pen in my bed.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a notebook and pen close to me because I'm still old school and I have to write it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at some point, I put it in my notes in my phone. However, everything is on paper and pen. And so I just get a download. And
Mm-hmm.
so whenever it comes to me, I'm always ready to start writing
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know when it's going to hit. And it could be the most random thing. I could see somebody else smoking and
Mm-hmm.
then it'll download. Let's say I'm scrolling through social media and I see someone else smoking and I'm like, oh, let me write about her. Let me
Mm-hmm.
write about him. And so
Okay.
then I'm kind of like, my writing sometimes comes from looking at other people.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. That is, and see, I'm a writer of just urban fiction. Well, let me rephrase that. The publishing company gave it the label urban fiction. I give it the label fiction. Because
Okay.
it's just everyday fiction. It could be any manner of people that you see walking down the street that I'm
Hmm.
literally writing about. And it's funny because one of my novels had a cigar smoker in it. That's not when I started smoking cigars, though. I started smoking cigars during the pandemic. I had COVID, and I also have an RV. And so I was camping. Couple was smoking a cigar, and I'm like, oh man, what I wouldn't give to smell it because I lost my sense of smell. They gave
Uh-huh.
and fell in love, and here I am. So when you look at the progression of Cigar Chronicles, so there's 1 and 2. So how many poems do you have to have in order for you to say, okay, this is going to be its own, like how you came up with Chronicles #2, Cigar Chronicles 2? Was it a certain amount of poems you had in mind, or did it just stop and you say, okay, that's it for that one?
Yeah. So I'm very led by spirit. And so I don't put limits on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So a minimum or a maximum. So when I stopped, I just stopped. I said, this is
Okay.
it. This is the book right here. This is going to
Mm-hmm.
be the last piece. There's not even really a rhythm to the order that I put it in.
Mm-hmm.
It really is just about, sometimes it's about the order that I wrote it in.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's about what I'm feeling and what I want to actually put out there at that time when I complete the pieces
Mm-hmm.
to complete the book. So it's no real rhythm or rhyme to how I do that. It just really is about how I'm led. And if I'm led to stop and say, okay, this completes the book, then I'll
Mm-hmm.
do that. Now, I do always have a group of people that read my books before I publish. So
Okay.
I have a group of people, a core group of people that always read my books before I publish. And so they give me their feedback and they tell me, yeah, I think this is cohesive. I think this is a good, well-balanced book. Go ahead and put it out. Or they'll say, maybe you should add a couple of more pieces in there, right? Because even though I'm led by that, sometimes I got to hear from the people.
Okay.
And so that core group of people is 6 different people that I've used consistently that always read everything and give me their feedback.
Okay. So what is the Chronicles 1 and 2, is it like in a, I don't want to say subgenre, so like, do you have poems that are more romantic versus more everyday occurrences versus erotic, or are they all, erotic with themes of romance and everyday life?
Yeah, so there's a mixture. In Cigar Chronicles 1, there is a mixture. So there's some erotica, but there's also some hidden messages because of the fact that we were going through the pandemic.
Okay.
So there's also some inspiration because that's really the core of who I am. I'm going to always try to inspire. And so it's infused in those pieces. And so you're going to get that as you continue to read. Yeah, you're going to find an erotica piece here and there. And then you're going to get to that third piece and be like, oh, like I'm inspired by this.
Okay.
And so, and I feel empowered from this. So it's not all erotica, but I would say about 70% of Cigar Chronicles 1 is erotica. The other 30%, I've infused the core of who I am.
Okay.
I talk a little bit about healing. I talk about inspiration. I talk about love. And so, love of life, love of other people while smoking the leaf. So all of those things are really infused in all of that.
So tell me a little bit about your Cigars and Conversations.
So Cigars and Conversations is really my friend's thing.
Okay.
So I just happen to kind of jump in here and there with him. But that really is his baby. And the Cigars and Conversations is an event that's coming up Saturday.
Okay.
At a cigar lounge called Blow and Smoke in Dallas. And so that event is basically, it was the owner of the cigar lounge. It was her thought to have people come together and just have conversation with cigars, because that is one of the things that I have found since I have been in this community. I'm from St. Louis originally, and that's where I started smoking cigars, and I'm in Dallas now. One of the things that I know is that when you come together, people from all walks of life are just having conversation. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, how much money you make, what color you are. Conversations are going to take place. And so that's what I was excited about when I was invited to come to that event and share some poetry. And so basically, she kind of knows how my poetry is. And so she says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have conversations, and then you'll just share a piece that's relevant to the conversation we're having. Because my work is just so, I have a lot of different work and a lot of different writings about different things. So whatever they're discussing, I can kind of segue right into that and start sharing some poetry. So I'm excited about that.
That is very exciting. Now, do you plan on, or have you shared your poems, your poetry at other cigar lounges? Like I know, like here in DC, sometimes they'll have like open mic nights or like spoken word nights. So in the Dallas area, do they do that there? And if they have, or if they do, have you participated in that?
Absolutely. That was one of the first things I did when I moved here. Actually, I was a part of a group that held a show at a cigar lounge, and I became one of the poets that were a constant each month on for that particular event. I did that for about 2 years, and then I started having my own show. But it wasn't necessarily a show. It was more so a reading. So people would come out and I would sell my books and they would just enjoy the reading. I like more intimate type of events.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started hosting my own events, that's what I was really looking for, was those intimate events where it was a small group of people. When I say small, not necessarily, 5 or 10 people, but it's just like a small, it feels like we're all together and it's just the focus is the poetry and the audience. And that's
Okay.
it. It's not about the theatrics or anything like that. It's just
Mhm.
about being able to enjoy the art. And
So,
so,
go ahead, finish.
yeah, and so that's really what I've been doing more so of, is having those personal events. Although I have a bigger event coming up.
Well, go ahead and tell us about this big event.
So a friend and I, we had an event last year.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really name it. We just said we wanted to have an event where cigar smokers can come, but we wanted to have something that was sophisticated and that was
Okay.
elegant, because we do know that there is a core group of people in the cigar community that they party, they have a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. But we wanted to have it to where people can come out, they can dress up,
Mm-hmm.
they could listen to some really good music, they could have some good wine, and be able to network and connect with other like-minded people. And
Mm-hmm.
so we did an event like that last year. We had about 60 to 70 people show up. And so this year we're going to do the same thing, but we're adding a few elements to it. We're going to have it catered. We're going to bring in, because this is a BYOB lounge, so we're bringing in a company called Liquor Squared who'll serve drinks, and we're going to have some good music. So it's going to be a good time. We're really
Oh.
excited about that, and that takes place on March 4th at El
Mm-hmm.
Jefe's.
Okay. So now, do you foresee that this event is going to be something that you're going to do yearly or quarterly or?
We're thinking quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
That I
thinking
mean,
quarterly.
you know what, and I am one of those people that love to dress up. If I was in Dallas, I know I would be coming there because I feel like, and since smoking cigars, I just feel like it's such a sophisticated
Mhm.
type of vibe that you get. I like to party too. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to party.
Yeah, yeah.
There's times when I'm smoking my cigar, I feel like I just want to sit back and, like, old school. Like I would so love the whole like 50, 60 vibe where the ladies
Mhm.
in dress matched and she had the matching gloves, and
Mhm.
that's the kind of feel that I get when I smoke a cigar. So when you're smoking a cigar, do you normally do it at home by yourself, or are you more in tune to going to the cigar lounges?
So I used to be about 50-50 at
Mm-hmm.
home, and then I would be out at the lounge. Lately, I have found that I enjoy being at home.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy just sitting on my patio and listening to some music, because I get to choose my music, right? I
Mm-hmm.
get to choose the scenery,
Mm-hmm.
and and I can have my whatever snacks I want to have, or whatever drink I want, I can have that there at home. So I found myself smoking at home a lot lately. I love going out to different lounges. That's one of my favorite things to do, is explore a different lounge,
Mm-hmm.
um, and kind of see, like, okay, what do they have different in their humidor? What's the
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere like? What kind of music are they playing?
Mm-hmm.
And so, do they have indoor and outdoor? So I just like to explore the different lounges. I did a lot of that when I first moved to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I probably went to about 70% of the lounges here,
Wow.
just going around exploring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite cigar? Like your go-to, like you'll like you try a lot, but this is one that you always have to have readily available.
I don't have a favorite. In fact, it's kind of funny because so my palate has changed a lot. So I used to be able to do infused sticks, here and there, even like
Mm-hmm.
with a latte or coffee or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I found now I really can't do the infused sticks anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So those are sticks out. If there's a stick that I could say that I probably won't have, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be any infused stick. And
Okay.
it's funny because my boyfriend, he loves to have coffee and some kind of infused stick, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
try it and see if your palate is changed.
Well, let me ask you a question about that. How did you know your palate had changed and that infused sticks just was not doing it for you anymore?
It just didn't taste good to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I used to like this really kind of, it didn't have a name, but it was a sweet, milky cream kind of stick.
Mm-hmm.
One of the house sticks that one of the loungers would sell. And
Mm-hmm.
all of the women would go crazy over the stick. They'd be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this stick is so delicious. And I used to love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I smoked that stick after some time and it just was disgusting to me.
Oh, wow.
It was so strange. I was trying to like, I kept smoking it. I kept smoking it. Like, no, it's gonna come around. And then
Mm-hmm.
I put some chocolate. I'm like, okay, well, let me try to switch it up and eat some
Okay.
chocolate. And okay, well, let me drink this and see what happens. And it still
Mm-hmm.
would not. It
Wow.
just didn't taste good.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard people say that, and I never knew what that was until I experienced it myself, and I was like, man, this is this is horrible. And
Uh
then
huh.
I initially thought that maybe I just had a bad cigar, that it was, sometimes
Uh
you
huh.
stick. I was like, well, maybe and then my crazy self went and bought five. And then when because I said, you know what? Maybe it was just that one. Let me buy some more and I'll smoke them. And then I ended up giving those away because I was like, okay, clearly
Mm-hmm.
my palate has changed. I started with the mild, and now I'm at a medium to full. So what is your what do you like to smoke?
Typically full.
Okay.
I'm a full body smoker. Um, every now and then I want a medium to full.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can kind of tell you when that happens. I typically want a medium to full if I haven't really ate anything.
Okay.
So if I don't have much on my stomach, then I'm gonna go medium to full.
Mm-hmm.
If I've eaten and I'm full, I definitely want a full body stick.
Okay. Now let me ask you this question. Have you ever had a full body stick that was like kind of you had to sit there for a little bit because it was like really, really heavy and it was
Just had it.
like,
I just had it. Let's see, probably about a month ago.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so the funny thing is the cigar lounge owner, he said, okay, Kia, this one, it punched me in the chest. It punched
Mm-hmm.
me in the chest. He
Wow.
said, so I'm just telling you, you might want to take your time. And so the first third was good, second third was good. I got to that last third, and yeah. And so what's funny is he just said that it kind of gave him that punch.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the last third, and I just sat there and I looked at it. It's like, I don't know, you might win, Stick. You might win. So he comes over and I said, man, the first and the second third were good.
Mm-hmm.
I love the flavors that were coming. And I said, but this last third, he said, that's where it was. He said it was the last third. He said, I wasn't going to tell you that. I wanted to see if you figured that out. I said, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely. That last third. Woo.
Yeah, I've had that happen. It's happened twice, and you would have thought I learned my lesson because it was the same cigar, and I was like, okay, I know this. I know how it's going to affect me, so I'm good. I'm gonna stay home. I'm going to smoke it at home, and I started
Yeah.
smoking it. And by the second half, I was like, oh, okay, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. And then
Yeah.
what did I do? I took a nap. I said, okay, let me get my life right. My life needs to be, right. I took a nap and got up and continued to smoke it. Like, what is
You don't learn, do you?
what is happening right now? I don't know what this did to me. And so, I mean, at least you know that. So, how long did it take you to get yourself together to that last third?
So I will tell you this before I tell you that. I'm so glad I wasn't drinking.
Okay.
Okay.
Really?
I'm so glad I wasn't drinking because
Wow.
it would have taken me longer to pull it together.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me about 30 to 45 minutes before I could start
Wow.
smoking again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a punch.
How many cigars do you normally have in a day?
Okay. I've had up to 5 cigars in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, when I smoke, the thing with me is once I start, like, I'm going.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, I start smoking at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna smoke a stick, and then I'm gonna light up and smoke another stick, and then I could potentially get in 3 to 4 sticks in the
Okay.
evening
Okay.
because again, it's just a really natural thing for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. It's the thing that, especially if I'm starting at 5 o'clock, that means I've worked, right? And so
Right.
I need to kind of come up off the day.
Right.
And smoking actually helps my creativity so much more
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many thoughts that come through. So even though I'm not writing while I'm smoking, I
Mm-hmm.
might be jotting stuff down.
Got you.
I'm thinking about stuff. And so different things are coming to me. And then I'll say, okay, I'm looking at my piece of paper, or depending on where I am, I'll put the notes in my phone and I can go
Mm-hmm.
back to it and say, oh, these are some ideas I had. These are some thoughts that I had. And then I say, you know what, I'm going to write a poem about this.
Okay.
And then I can sit there if I'm at home. I'm people watching when I'm at home.
Okay.
Okay. I'm people watching when I'm at the cigar lounge. And so again, these are inspirations for me. It's giving me some
Mm-hmm.
ideas, and I'm getting some download from this. Sometimes when I'm driving, it'll come to me and I have to use my voice memo and record the thoughts that are coming up
Mm-hmm.
because I'll see something. There are times I've drove past people that have been smoking a pipe or a cigar, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write about this, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so a lot of my inspiration just comes from people watching.
I heard you say while you're driving, so do you smoke in your car?
I do.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay, I always ask this, if you smoke in your car, how do you deal with the smell or the odor that is left behind? I know people say, sunroof, all your windows down, all of that. But in there still, now see, I don't have a sense of smell, so I don't know. So, is there a lingering odor left behind?
It probably is, but because I'm always smoking, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, when you're a smoker, you don't smell what other people who might not smoke smell.
Right. Right.
And so I just Febreze my car out.
Mm-hmm.
I get it washed and detailed. Well, I don't, my boyfriend does, let me be honest. But we Febreze it out and,
Mm-hmm.
and keep it going. With my hair, same thing. I have some products that I spray on it and I wrap it up and I don't smell
Okay.
it.
You know what? I always forget about the hair. I always forget that you can get the smell in your hair. It just never even occurs to me. So, because
Yeah.
you and your boyfriend smoke cigars, do you all go to the lounges together, or does he have his lounges that he likes to go to? Like, do you go separate?
So we mostly go together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we first started dating, he had a home lounge
Okay.
that I went to. It wasn't my home lounge, it was a mutual lounge.
Mm-hmm.
But we are now about to join a lounge together.
Okay.
So it's a new lounge that's coming that we want to join together. So we'll
Okay.
be doing that. That'll be something that we get to do together because
Oh, that's
that's
so
something that,
amazing.
yeah, it's something that's what brought us together was the leaf.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we enjoy doing together.
That is amazing. So I want to tell everyone where they can get your cigar chronicles.
So I'm on Amazon. You can
Mm-hmm.
also purchase it directly from me on my website, which is
Mm-hmm.
keyascoaching.com. And you can find me, of course, on Instagram at KeyaMcClainThePoet, all one word. But generally, people purchase from Amazon or just the websites.
Okay. I have them in my cart, so I just haven't like I have to
Okay.
Amazon addict, so I have to only order stuff on certain days because
Uh-huh.
if not, I have Amazon boxes every day at the house, like literally
Understood.
boxes at the house every day. So it's in the cart to be ordered tomorrow.
Well, you'll have to let me know what you think about them.
As soon as I get it, I'm going to be. See, I'm a reader too, so not be. Also, being an author makes me such an avid reader. So as soon as I get the new, and I got a new Kindle, so I'm just so excited about that. Yeah, it's a big one.
I said I needed a new one.
Is like, oh, I've been reading books and buying books. I'm like, oh, Christmas is over. I better stop this.
I love other bookies.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love them. I just want to thank you for joining me today. I wish you much success on your upcoming event. And I do have some family down in Dallas, so at some point I hope to be making my way down there. And when I do, I'm gonna send you a quick message on Instagram, and maybe you can show me around to a couple of lounges.
Absolutely. So
yes,
be
I
sure
look
to let
forward
me
to
know
it.
when you're coming this way.
Certainly will. So I'll let you go try to grab some lunch real quick. I didn't want to take it all. I mean, yeah, minutes.
That's okay. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
I thank you for joining me. You have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too.